Here we go. Let's start off with knight f3 here. Maybe we can get a Reti system. Yeah, I can go with the Reti gambit here. If he takes, he pushes. Okay, so this turns into kind of a reversed Benoni system. Let's go ahead with the fianchetto. And wonder at what point should I play, I think here, play d3 and then maybe play e3 later to undermine this. I'm wondering about the bishop and the knight. But let's castle. And we'll see where to put them. He can play, he could have played e5 right then. He chose to bring the bishop out. Let's kick it. Let's see what its intentions are. Drops back. Okay, so it doesn't care about the pin. So now I want to play e6 here, e3, undermine the center. Open up a line for my pieces. I guess, you know, I'm wondering if I should have considered moving the knight out, or the bishop out first. But since he traded, this is all the same. So I can go ahead and throw in this check. And now the pin is kind of interesting because he'll probably just castle, yeah. But if it stays pinned, I can take the knight and then he has to take back with the pawn. But here he can take back with the bishop. So let's bring my knight out. He hasn't yet put any pressure on the d-pawn, but as soon as I play knight to d2, he could play bishop to f4. And, well, if I could top my knight in here immediately, he takes. I take there. Might get complicated, but I think it's okay. If he does that, yeah, my plan is to take and then put my knight on e4. It's a good square for that knight. It's hitting the c-pawn and it's hitting the bishop. Yeah, so he defended the c-pawn. And now I can lift up the queen. How is that bishop? The bishop is defended once and attacked. Well, if I could bring another attacker here. But if I play queen e2, I'll probably just play rook e8. That seems fine. I could bring my queen out to this side, queen b3. Might encourage him to play b6 and open up some things on this diagonal. If he brings his queen out, I could bring my queen over to a3 to avoid the trade, or I could take. Let's see what happens here. If he brings his queen out, oh no, the knight is still defending the bishop too. I was forgetting about the knight. So he just defended the c-pawn. Okay, and he's lining up. Let's not neglect my h-pawn. He's lining up to take the h-pawn there. And he kicks the knight. Very interesting. So I was just wondering about queen to b4, but I was realizing he could kick my queen anyway, queen b5 to gang up on that pawn. He kicks my knight away before I've had a chance to prepare a landing square for it. Okay, it's got to go back here. And he's going to pile up on the g-pawn, which is interesting. So knight here, knight to h4, looks at this g6 square. And if he pushes and I play the knight here, he attacks my knight. Does it get trapped? Yeah, okay, so let's drop back this way. I was really looking forward to knight knight h4 and the other knight coming to f6, and this one going to g6, f3, knight g6, and then the two knights would be coordinated on that e5 square. Maybe I could drop something in there. Doesn't look like it's happening. I thought he would just push on with f5. He didn't. Or f4. Push on f5 to f4. Maybe he's worried about his queen leaving his b pawn undefended. So I'm going to push on with f4. It seems a little bit weakening here, but I want to stop his pawns from coming forward. And now I do have this idea of knight f3 to e5, maybe doubling my rooks first. So he's looking to double his rooks as well, or maybe he's looking to play rook to rook to g6. If he plays rook g6, then knight h4 will force the rook away. Okay, let's double here. He moved his king out of the way. I was wondering if he seemed to be setting up for b5, but when I take, it's a check on the king. So he decided to move his king away from check. Okay, so knight here, knight takes, pawn takes is a fork. So he can't take with the knight. He could take with the bishop. Knight here, bishop takes, pawn takes, and then the rook moves. If he keeps taking, yeah, I just have two rooks on it, so I'm good. And yeah, I'm hitting his knight twice. It's defended twice. So I think my knight is better. I'm just going to keep it there and bring the other knight to f3 to back it up. That knight on f3 can also consider hopping into h4. Well, my opponent has slowed down at this point. He was moving really fast at first. Got a seemingly okay position out of the opening. We can check that out and see how that was with the chess engine. He did decide to take. Okay, yeah, so he had to take with the with the bishop, and now it's attacked twice and defended twice, and I can bring another defender in. But that's not his idea. His idea is to attack my e-pawn. So I'm going to bring that extra defender in right now. The knight can also go to h. I mean, his idea was to attack my g-pawn. My knight can go there. Let's see. I can play knight to h4, hitting his rook. It could come forward, though, now that that square is available. And okay, and if I push this pawn forward, the queen and the rook are coordinating on g3 there, so I have to be careful about that. Oh yeah, tricky position. Okay, let's start bringing my queen back. Seems like it's needed over here on the king side. And see what his plan is. He wants to go there and grab a pawn. Well, let's hold on to the pawn for the moment and then kick the knight back. Ah, he wants to take my knight. Okay, I have to take his knight too, otherwise my pawn is getting lost there. So let's bring the queen over. So I've got a passed pawn for this endgame, although it's I guess you can't really call it an endgame if we still have queens and rooks on the board. Heavy pieces, a heavy piece only middle game. So I'm looking at the square f4 for my queen. I want to make sure I don't push that pawn too far forward and it gets lost. I have to watch out for things like that. Also need to be careful there's no invasion route for his pieces. Yeah, so he blockades with the queen. Gonna go here. So I wonder if I should play g4 here. Well, if he plays h4, I will play g4 for sure. But if he doesn't, if he plays something else, should I play that anyway? Pawn takes, pawn takes, pawn takes, rook takes. No, the queen is on that. I cannot play g4. It's also a bit risky opening up the file, but that's something that works both ways. Yeah, so he goes to the G file immediately. Here's an idea. Maybe I can open things up against his king. Get my king out of the way. So now if I push, he takes, I take, he takes, I take. Yeah, I can do that and hold on to it, and then I have a rook looking here. He has a rook on this file. And I have the f8 square, it looks like. Let's try it. Okay, there we are. So maybe now I want to get a rook to the h file. I was thinking rook h4 directly, but he could exchange. And well, as soon as I move this rook to the h file, he can play queen to g6. I guess that's what I'm worried about. Need to kind of keep control of as many of these squares around here as possible. But maybe lifting this rook up and doubling on the G file is the way to go. Rook E2 to G2. Just wondering what I should do about G4. If I take with my rook, then his queen can come into H3, which could be annoying. So he's finally fallen behind me on the clock here. That's a tough game. It is a tough game. So rook G2 now. He could take here, and I take back, he takes. I take here. He gets the first check. He can attack it though, and he doesn't have a follow-up check really. And he comes back to defend. I think he's in a bit of trouble there with my doubled rooks on the G file. So let's see if he dares to take that pawn. He does. Okay. Well, we'll see if I was right about this. So mate in 2 is threatened. Pawn is threatened. He has a one check here that I see, and I was going to play king f2. So, you know, rook here check, king here, he's got to come back. And I think I really can just grab a pawn. Yeah, so he just came back right away. So I grab a pawn now. Then his rook can come in with check, but yeah, it's not a big deal. My pawns are defended, aren't they? And he still can't wander too far afield. Ah, he goes there. Okay, so if I take, he takes, and then just bring my king over. Now I've got an extra pawn. I can't attack that pawn. Okay, just got to keep his rook out of these squares. And I think I can do it like this. Okay, so now let's start pushing these pawns forward. This king cut off to the other side. My king is kind of cut off by his rook too, but I should be able to get some mileage out of those pawns there. His king comes forward. Okay, so let's take. Take, he takes. I step forward with the king, or I start pushing the pawn. can't defend that pawn, but what I can do is, so I should step forward with my king first. I want to be able to yeah, get to this square. And then to this square. So he's got to come back and defend that. Let's see. So if I drop down, he attacks this pawn. I take here, he takes here. I push. What if I come around this way? Can I chase his rook away from the defense of that pawn, while all the while keeping his king cut off? That's the plan. There, I attack his rook. You can't really afford to trade rooks. Yeah, so then I get this pawn. After that, I get, shucks, is this going to be a problem still? There's still a problem here. I take, he takes. I drop back, he takes. Come over here. And win this pawn. Yeah, that's the way to do it, I guess. He can't save that pawn. And my king is now in front of the pawn. His king is still pretty far off to the side. Tricky business, huh? And this should allow me to win. Yeah, he resigned. Very cool. Well, it was an interesting game. I will upload this and do a post-mortem. See you guys later.